Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bitcoin in Asia from Bitcoin Magazine. I'm John Riggins, and our guest this week is Raymond Walintukan, Director of Mining Operations in North America for Bitmain. I thought it'd be interesting to get his perspective as someone in charge of running and growing a separate geography for a Chinese company, and Bitmain in particular, and he delivers. We talk about that situation, the workflow, the growth strategy, operationally, how it works, and how it fits into the broader Bitmain effort. Raymond also details Bitmain's North America footprint, nuances of working with public and private utilities in the US, and mining trends that he sees heading into the next Bitcoin cycle. It's a good conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. Raymond, welcome to the show. It's good to be talking.
Hey, John. Thanks for inviting me.
For sure. For those who aren't quite familiar with you yet, can you start with kind of a brief intro of yourself, how you got to where you are now?
Sure, yeah. So I'm the Director of Mining Operations for North America for Bitmain. And I originally started out actually as a miner myself.
Makes sense.
I came out here to Pacific Northwest, out in Washington State, where electricity is cheap and the weather's cold, and people are friendly. Started out here, did my own mining. A friend of mine got acquired by Bitmain, and then he introduced me to the company. And so I actually haven't worked for a company for, the last 18 years.
Interesting.
But Bitmain has been a phenomenal place to live and work. They've been very supportive of my projects. I get to run this like a startup, and yet it still has all the backings of a $1 billion company. So it's been a great ride. Yeah, I really like it here.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then I guess can you give a little bit more context for kind of Bitmain's business overall and where the North America operation sits in terms of structure and oversight? And you mentioned that it's kind of run like a startup. Can you give us a little bit more context for how it works operationally?
Right. Yeah. I believe the company came out in 2013, 2014 with the original founder, Jihan Wu, and his friends. And basically, they originally started in China. But since basically starting end of 2017, they wanted to do a global expansion. And so coming to the United States was one of their first major investments outside of China. And, we've been investing quite a bit all over the place. But it started here with a small 12 megawatt facility. And, for the last 2 years, we've been growing very rapidly, to upwards of potentials of 360 megawatts. And we're looking to grow between 5 and 10 times more than that. It's been a very exciting time. Growth is very rapid. We can barely keep up with demand and how those things are. It's an amazing ride for sure.
Yeah. And then, so when exactly did you join? You mentioned the 2 years ago getting started with that number.
Yeah. I started in September of 2018.
Okay, cool. Now you're overseeing North America.
Yeah. So, just to show how fast and how, they really believe in a meritocracy. I started out as just a team manager of like 5 people. And then they gave me the entire, basic control of the site. And then now they want me to oversee all of North American operations, which is not something I imagined to do. But now we're looking over at least 3 sites right now and expanding a couple more in the next year or two. And then also overseas in Europe, and hopefully I get to see those ones soon too.
Heck yeah, definitely a cool thing to, not that you stumbled into it, but that you put yourself in a position to be where you are. It's pretty cool.
Sure. Yeah.
So you're already over 300 megawatts you mentioned. Can you, I guess, kind of detail some of the purpose of the facilities you oversee? Is it, all proprietary? Is it some hosting? And then can you be specific at all in terms of location? I know some of that's kind of kept under wraps.
Yeah, well, I find that the company is a very open company. We're very transparent on how things are run. If you've looked at it like an old 2017 when they were trying to IPO, I think a majority of our revenue, 94% of it was coming actually from miner sales. And about 6% was coming from other sources, and some of that is mining. But I mean, because we are a technology company with a focus on hardware and research, mining facilities, it's almost as if we want these to be a good example on how to open an efficient and profitable mining farm, or in this case, a blockchain data center, if you want to be more general. I mean, we have a location in Texas, a location in Tennessee, and a location in Washington. And there's a couple more that's coming up. As soon as those come up, I'm more than happy to share that. What's most important is, finding the right locations. And we give tours to a lot of investors because we want people to buy more machines. So that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. All right. Some good context there. Any more color into how you mentioned the hardware being, a vast majority of the business there? Can you give a little bit more color in how that kind of integrates with the facilities here? Is it, any other, I guess, detail around that?
So here's a little bit of some, I guess, maybe I shouldn't say this over the radio, but who cares? Basically,
that's the best way to start a response.
We have trouble getting servers for our own mining farms because demand is so high. Our machines primarily go to our customers first, and then we get, basically, what's left over. So part of the restriction of our expansion is also dependent on how many machines that are available. And right now, as you can see, the market is hot. And we've had multiple investments from different companies, and you see the investment banks are, investing into HUD 8 and, going into this. So, we can barely keep these on the shelves, and I mean the warehouse shelf before it gets shipped off. So it's a very exciting time right now. For us being a manufacturer and mining, it's great because we also get to test out the latest technologies. Ultimately, blockchain is a new technology that will completely revolutionize the way diversification and distributed computing is going to happen. Obviously, to create the infrastructure, these mining machines are a very good start for it. But we're doing some heavy research into AI to make the next step, and there's things I probably can't go over, but it's going to be exciting next couple of years. These mining machines might be doing other things. So, just keep an eye out for that.
All right.
Yeah.
And then I guess today, more kind of a granular level of specifically for North America and your role of not just running the stuff you have, but expanding, opening new facilities. Can you go through a little bit of the process of doing that, kind of the things you're thinking about, location, pricing wise, these types of things?
Sure. Yeah.
And doing it in North America is so different than doing it, obviously in China and other places.
Right.
Any nuances there that are specific to the US too?
Yeah. Okay. Well, you basically choose it similar to how you choose a data center. So there's like 4 pillars. One is obviously price of electricity and availability of electricity. The second one would be temperature and humidity. So to give a little bit more color on that one, ideally the internals of a mining facility should have an ambient between 5 and 25 centigrade. Once you go a little bit higher than that, it does get a little hotter. And then once you go a little below that, the machines get a little cooler. And compared to a traditional data center, the HVAC system is not a recirculating, air system. It's different. We air cool these things. And what's important is to have a low humidity. So anything under 65% humidity is typically a decent place to set up because what's really cost effective at the moment is water cooling. So water cooling your facilities is quite good. The third thing that we look for is like natural disasters. We have this little quadrant thing that, we calculate. So earthquakes, flooding, obviously Pacific Northwest is the best for that. Anywhere in the north typically doesn't have earthquakes. There's not too many floods. I guess there's a volcano that might erupt every once in a while, but I don't think that goes into the calculations. And otherwise, staff availability. So, the local workforce. So, we employ, what's great about these things, we can go into remote areas that don't have necessarily the highest paying jobs. And then we can create jobs for the local community here and teach them skills in IT and programming and software and technology that, they otherwise wouldn't be able to get no exposure to. So in a sense with that, I think it's really great that how we're able to find locations, and as long as you have a good workforce, anything's possible. So yeah.
All good points. Thanks for going into the detail there. And then so you're running North America operations. You've worked in China in the past. You were doing some of your own mining in North America directly prior to this responsibility. So Bitmain obviously started in China. Now it's a pretty global company. But is there anything gained outside of just the kind of that hardware edge, or as you described it, maybe not as much of an edge on the hardware side, in terms of just kind of knowledge, strategy that you gain from working with the team in China and the teams that are setting up facilities all around the world? Is there much integration in terms of how y'all plan, strategize, geography, locations? How much, I guess, back and forth is there with the global team in terms of expansion for the North America specific strategy?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously the pioneers were in China, and they've learned with every iteration, every evolution of a farm, and so coming here is the natural step because one is the availability of investors. Two, people find that, the rule of law is very good in America. It's, very transparent to set up, and things are expected. So, I think that China finds, US a very good place to expand, that, and also makes us more of an international, investment, so we'll see what happens in the future, but I see nothing but growth in the next few years for sure. It's going to be busy.
Yeah, bullish. Can you talk a little bit more about the electricity contracts that you're looking for? That was obviously a part of your criteria for choosing where to go, pricing, whatnot.
Sure.
So is it, yeah.
So whenever you want to start your own mining farm, please give me a call. I'll tell you exactly what you should look for. So the best case scenario is a place with stable electricity. They will, charge you per kilowatt hour usage, and that's a done deal. There are other areas where, unlike a data center, we have the ability to shut the machines off. Okay, and so we've actually developed proprietary software, which we've already trademarked or copyright or whatever IP for it. And how an electricity company, or let's say utility company, operates is they have peak demand and obviously quite a bit of supply at times. So when supply is high, one of the issue is they have to shed this electricity. Otherwise, they have issues with their equipment. It can overload. They need something to load balance the existing electricity here. And that's where we can come in as a mining farm or a blockchain data center, is we can turn on when there's excess power. When there's a demand, a huge spike in demand, $300 a megawatt, which is absurd, we can shut off our machines. So in some areas, you could go to, let's say, a power broker, and then a power broker would then be able to give you a favorable rate when there's an excess amount of power. And when power is scarce, you can actually make money off of that, or you get a rebate, or you turn off. But either way, it's a win-win solution for all parties, because one, you get to have cheap electricity. And the other part is, let's say you're running a dam, you don't have to take any turbines out of the water because you have excess water. You don't have to throw water down a spillway just because there's too much excess water. So it's great to work with these public utilities. One thing you have to look for too, though, is I'd highly recommend. There's an interesting dichotomy between private and public utilities. So. Yeah. In a public utility, typically there are commissioners and they are elected officials. With that, the elected officials are the ones who are responsible for how energy is allocated and what they consider fair. In a private company, private electrical company, the restrictions are way higher. So one of the examples I can give you is discriminatory rate increases. So we've had, we've seen this in some areas where they will increase the rate on cryptocurrency, data centers, but not increase the rate for refrigeration of apples, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of discriminatory, because how can you discriminate between businesses, or aren't all businesses equal? And, we're just trying to make money, and we've already been given the rights for this. So in a private company, they're less likely to increase the rate based on your business practice or what type of business category you are. In a public company, actually they can do whatever they want. So they could say, cannabis companies, guess what? Now you're paying 10 cents a kilowatt hour. If you're a data center, hey, you guys are going to pay 10 cents a kilowatt hour now, instead of your original really low rate. So that's one thing to look out for. If you can work with a private electrical company, it tends to be a little bit more regulated, and they're afraid to make any mistakes. So, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I feel like there are some stories from New York specifically of that scenario. How's the TVA to work with? You're out here in Tennessee a little bit. Who are you working with in Tennessee?
Not TVA. Okay. It's with another company. But they've been great. They're very supportive. Actually, I find a lot of these states are very supportive of jobs coming in. And so they will they'll provide a lot of incentives for companies to go there, which is, probably part of the reason why we're in some of these states. And it's great because I get to meet some of these people on the ground who, would be working a fast food job. And then now we're teaching them some technical skills that will allow them to go anywhere. So, it's good to work in these smaller, some of these smaller areas, because they'll be very favorable to us rather than
Yeah. I mean, jobs come in and make a difference, and the smaller, bigger percentage of the workforce it is, for sure.
Yeah.
Back a little bit to kind of operating as a part of a larger Chinese company here. Any additional kind of nuances of doing that? I guess the company set up maybe in a way that you're kind of shielded from that visibility of operating under a Chinese company. Maybe can you share any more detail, I guess, on I guess how that setup is, maybe specifically on kind of macro trade environment, if there's been any effects on Bitmain's kind of North America entity, what that looks like.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a very good point. It's almost unpredictable, what the global economy will look like in terms of where free trade is or not. And so as a natural response to a greater demand. So, I mean, Bitmain, our demand we're still the leader in mining technology and ASIC chips. We needed to contract or engage more facilities for manufacturing. And with the natural progression to grow, we ended up, it's essentially diversifying. So we didn't really have to scale back, but as more we grew into it, housing other manufacturing companies, such as in Southeast Asia, which do not have the same trade restrictions. So, I mean, there are original factories which are still producing, and then to meet U.S. demand. I mean, we've been growing in other countries, which is great, to continue manufacturing. So, so we're truly a global company at this point, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you been back and forth much and seen those kind of production and storage facilities? I guess Malaysia maybe is where most of the U.S. shipments are coming from.
Maybe. I think you know more than I do. But yeah, I mean, certainly. It's great to work with other companies and grow with them, and then it's definitely evolving process. So I mean, our manufacturing process is getting leaner and leaner at every time. So it's a pleasure to work with someone from. My Chinese is not that good. I've lived in China for a little bit, learned a little bit here and there. But I mean, Southeast Asia is predominantly, they have English speaking capabilities, so it's very easy as well. So, yeah,
for sure. You were doing import export stuff in China and Beijing before Bitcoin was
Yeah.
even a thought in Satoshi's mind, maybe. But what maybe going back to kind of that time then, can any I guess kind of insight into how much import export, just kind of the regulation around trade has changed since those aughts days? Is it kind of a different game?
Yeah, I
Maybe you
haven't.
don't play in that world as much anymore.
I haven't touched exporting since 2009. So yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
I'm a little bit of a dinosaur in it.
So you say, hey, give us what you can, and then Bitmain gets it to you. Essentially, you're not worried about the exporting.
Oh, right. So, I mean, like, it's quite simple. If we do have, and if customers have not ordered any of these machines, then we can get a couple of these shipped over by air, which is not cheap, but the time that they are sitting on the shelf is worth the expedited shipping costs.
Yeah.
So I see what you're trying to ask. So is it, easy to import? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the U.S. is transparent. A lot of these Southeast Asian countries are very easy to work with, and so yeah, it's not too hard. Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
And then you, even though it's a good bit of capacity, you mentioned that kind of one of the main purposes of the business year is to show potential investors and future miners what a well-functioning mining operation looks like. Give people a look into that, and to be kind of a sales unit on the ground here in North America too. Can you detail a little bit more about where you see that trending? I guess you've been in your current kind of management role since 2018. What have you seen, I guess, going from kind of pre-halving, sort of end of a bear market, to now in terms of new interest, size of the entities or investment groups that are interested? Can you share any, I guess, additional detail on that, what you've seen?
Yeah. So, I mean, you probably heard this already. There's a huge wave of investors from the institutions, and due to AML laws or any other laws, they have to give their clients a coin that has no questionable history. And the only way to do that is to have newly minted Bitcoins in this instance. Okay. So, the Bitcoin has to be what's called a virgin coin, basically created. There's no history to it. And then it can be given to their customers, basically freely without any worry of any investigations or anything like that. So, given that, I come from a software background, so I'm more of a software engineer. I've done startups before and so forth. And, it's really important to manage these facilities with, state-of-the-art monitoring software, as well as the ability to, if we need to curtail and shut down the entire farm. I mean, you might have to go from, 75, 80 megawatts to zero within 5 minutes, which is, not an easy task. So that's what, the solutions we can provide, for our customers. And we are working with people who want these solutions. And, obviously we can provide that as well as provide the machine. So it's almost an A to Z vertical integration. Turnkey solutions can be, set up literally overnight, and we embrace it. I think that's great for more people to get into it. One, it stabilizes the market. And the more people that get into it, I think it's better, because in the future, I think, it surpasses all boundaries, which no state can interfere with. So I think it's
absolutely.
Great. Yeah,
absolutely. Second, that talking point for sure is, and your team here, I don't know how much you can share about this, but kind of size of the team here, and in relation to kind of other geographies for Bitmain, or maybe growth rate here. Can you share anything, I guess, about that?
Yeah, I think I have to check the HR manager. There's so many, and so new people keep coming on. I think we just hired a few last week. Okay. I think we're of the size of, probably under 200 in North America, and then growing very rapidly. We could reach, 5x that, maybe more. And that includes both operators on the ground, but also important is our design team. We have a very great engineering team who's built these beautiful facilities that are very efficient and cost effective. And so, we employ some of the best mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, and in construction. And also I believe we have a research team here that also does like chip design and manufacturing, or not manufacturing, but the design of it. That's kind of more of our San Jose office. So, I mean, we have offices pretty much all over the West Coast. I think there's at least 4 of us on the West Coast, and then the rest of the U.S. We have that as well. So, for the U.S. alone. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And then for those more kind of, I guess, like expert setup and engineering roles, is that something that the setup started over here, and Bitmain was bringing over folks from China to kind of share that expertise and knowledge, and it's kind of run by, I guess, U.S. folks, or is there much back and forth still between the China team and U.S. in terms of kind of those expert skills and jobs?
Exactly that. I mean, the regulations and requirements are completely different for both countries, obviously, right? So, and one great thing about Bitmain is, we trust the local teams to do their job. There's quite a bit of ownership of work, which I'm very proud of at this company. And so, the China team definitely oversaw some of the projects, but I mean, the US team is pretty much independent in terms of how they want to design things. And they've designed it right. I mean, we've had zero safety issues. You can hear, neighbors down the street here, they've had safety issues, maybe a transformer blowing or, something catching on fire, some guys, mining in their garage, so something like that. But, we've been very fortunate to have a great team. Yeah.
Yeah. You're up in Washington, where I guess there are some other facilities that you're kind of alluding to. What is it, kind of a mining community there? How big is the town that you're in?
So yeah, it's about 70,000 people. We're 2.5 hours east of Seattle, Pacific Northwest, and I mean this is like 3 counties, so they span quite a bit of areas. But I mean, one good point is that I like how we choose locations that also rely on green energy. So we're completely hydro here, 100% hydro, and we actually help the local community here by balancing the load. So when electricity is high, the supply is high, that needs to go somewhere. They could try selling it off in the market at a spot rate that might be even negative 1 penny, or they could give it to us, and we can employ people here and also stabilize the financial Bitcoin market. I mean, that's the whole point about it. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess on that point, any other kind of broader thoughts on where geographically mining is growing and how it's decentralizing? What are you seeing, I guess, internally at Bitmain, and then just any thoughts overall?
So I do have a couple
more facilities in Europe and stuff too. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I do have a couple of friends who are into the natural gas, and I know that that was something we wanted to discuss. And I mean, you could get I think top of my head, a 1 megawatt generator for $250,000. And then you would basically be generating 1 megawatt at practically no cost. A lot of this natural gas is wasted. And so by, applying to
flaring is something that's kind of become a more popular, I guess, seen as an opportunity in the US especially.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you were looking at central US, Texas, Oklahoma region. They have
quite. Is that something that y'all are actively developing, implementing, deploying?
We are working on other. We're working on potentially working with some partners, maybe in that field.
Okay.
But I mean, it's still a new thing, and with this whole COVID, from what I remember, the last report I read, I mean, a lot of oil fracking or oil refineries.
It's getting shut off anyway.
Down.
Right.
Yeah. And so with that, the availability of the natural gas may be limited in some aspects. So, we're open to the idea, and we're working with a couple of people right now. Nothing is set in stone, and as soon as, we do have a press release, we'll definitely release what's going. But, I encourage everyone to look into it. I mean, anywhere we can efficiently use resources that are already being wasted, why not? I mean, that's the only green thing to do. So
yeah, there you go. You mining pools. So y'all have, you're running this good amount of power in the US. How does it, Bitmain has a couple of sort of kind of competing mining pools internally, that were developed internally or acquired and are now both under the Bitmain kind of entity. How do you all manage the process of what mining pools to use? Is it pretty independent, or are you required to use Bitmain kind of owned things? What's that process like? I guess we talked about integration of hardware earlier.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't put my wallet on, for example. The company has very strict requirements. I mean, essentially, it's like a gold mine, right? You have to check where the gold's going. So in a sense, it's strictly controlled. We have, I want to call it guardian systems that make sure that every machine is going to the correct pool, and that's preset by the company. Do you have people from Antpool and BTC.com kind of coming to you and selling you on their services, or is it? Well, it's all internal. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter where we mine because we
Sure.
command such a high, hash rate. It doesn't really matter. One plug that we really like using is Bitdeer. So Bitdeer is a cloud mining company. So they've created the technology where you can divide by hash rate. So you can sell off per hash rate. Per machine. So it's not required that you rent the whole machine like in traditional cloud mining. So, that's just something out there. I'm not exactly sure how many users they have, but it is quite easy to use. So,
like the Bitdeer team, they came to Bitcoin 2019 and SF last year with us, and have been to their offices over in Celine.
Oh yeah, she's great.
A few folks. So Bitdeer, the cloud mining stuff. Any other comments on the kind of that stack of, you mentioned Bitmain's operations here being pretty much a full stack. Any other kind of thoughts on how that develops over the next bull cycle, the next couple of years in terms of cloud mining? We have these kind of one-offs where you mentioned you can buy like a 1 megawatt generator and do something just kind of as a one-off. Thoughts on how it distributes and looks over the next 2 years? Massive facilities like y'all have in Tennessee and whatnot.
Well, yeah, Bitcoin mining won't go away, that's for sure. And it only stabilizes it some more, and as more people grow in the market. I mean, I think we have a 10x run up at least for the price of Bitcoin for the next, within the next decade easily. So it justifies the cost for operating these facilities. But also, I mean, once you have the infrastructure set up for, electricity, and I don't want to let any cats out the bag, but, as AI and blockchain tech becomes more usable for other factors, you could be using it as a data storage. You could run maybe Uber on a blockchain, for example. These are all technologies that are being developed right now and that we're looking at, ways to use it. And by having the availability of electricity and these infrastructures, that's really irreplaceable. So in the next few years, we're going to see a lot of change in how it's used. And, it surpasses all boundaries, and it makes it fair. It's an even playing field for everybody. Which is why I think it's going to be great. Yeah.
There you go. You touched on kind of picking places in the US and weather and kind of severe weather likelihood being factors in those decisions. Have you had much interaction with, we've heard a lot about the flooding in Sichuan this year, and there's obviously just a heavy rainy season, which is good for the price of electricity around these hydropower dams, but can lead to some flooding. Any back and forth in terms of like crisis management or crisis planning for physical locations with your counterparts in China and what y'all do in the US? Is there much dialogue there?
Well, I mean, each site kind of manages their own. There's only so much that someone remote can do with a Zoom call. But sure. I mean, we learn from all these things, right? So each new mining site comes up with a better iteration and a better plan. Yes, there is some flooding and you see the worst of the worst, but out of maybe 20 mining farms, maybe one has that problem and 19 are doing great. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I mean, we all like to see the headlines where it's, it's terrible there, but
media is great at that.
Yeah. But hey, it's good to highlight the problems so that we can avoid these things in the future. And I think that's great. So,
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And final thing, a recommendation. So you spent some time in Beijing. It can be a recommendation from Beijing or something in Washington. Anything cultural, business, book, movie, anything. Recommendation for the listeners here.
Yeah, I was. So I started a book recently, and it's called How Innovation Works. From Matt Ridley, and it's a phenomenal book. Basically, a real good startup. If you had to read a crash course book on how to do a business or how to run a company like a business, I'd recommend that. That's a great book. So
there you go. business focused.
Yeah.
24/7 over there.
Yeah, very good.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your time here. Nice insight into how y'all are operating and thinking about running in North America and expanding. So appreciate your time.
Thank you, John. You have a good one.
Quick reminder, all of the content in this episode is for informational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained in this presentation constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer by BTC Media, the Let's Talk Bitcoin podcast network, or any third-party service provider to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments.